Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Yeah. It's MacBook Air time. 15-inch MacBook Air to be specific. This is the best laptop that Apple has ever sold. And I know what you're thinking. Dan, how could you say something if you haven't even, how could you even say that if you haven't opened it yet? Well, the 13-inch MacBook Air, which I have right here, is the best laptop that Apple has sold in the last however many years. It is really, really good. The M2 chip is fantastic. It's great form factor, love the redesign, and honestly, that is all of that inside of a bigger laptop. So, I mean, I'll go over all of the main differences between these two. Obviously the size, but we'll go over everything else, and yeah, let's go ahead and unbox it. So the last time I did an unboxing video, everybody got really, really mad that I didn't pull this tab in the right direction and unbox it properly. I think it was the HomePod video. You still can't cross stereo pair with, you know, definitely not a HomePod mini, but not even the first generation. Everyone called me an animal, and so just for you guys, I'm going to pull this completely wrong end and make everyone angry. Oh, that made me angry. It didn't even unbox properly. This is why they do this. I'm so sorry. I apologize to everyone. I just had to be a troll in that regard. Here we go. MacBook Air. Get rid of that box. I went with Starlight this time. And honestly, it pains me to do that because the midnight color is so good. It looks incredible. But as you can see, Fingerprint City, my OCD does not do well. I mean, look at that. Ugh, look at the smudges. Look at how bad this looks. Like, it looks so good, yet so bad. So I had to go with Starlight this time because I think that's the next best color. I mean, you can get silver or space gray, but those are kind of boring. We've been doing that for so long. This particular model has the maxed out specs in terms of CPU. So it's an 8-core CPU and a 10-core GPU. I think they all have that, which is one of the main differences, and we'll go over that in just a second. But I did go up to 24 gigs of RAM, and I believe this has this only has 512 of SSD. Should have went up to a terabyte. That's what I personally recommend for everybody. But I kept it at 512 for this. And that'll be fine. But all right. So should I be a troll again and do the tabs in the wrong direction? I'm gonna do that. This one's oh, you guys are so mad. Everyone's so angry. Dan, pull. All right. I'll be nice. I'll do this one. There you go. That was the right direction. Unboxing. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Now, I did see this at WWDC right after the event was done, but I didn't touch it. I just kind of got a bunch of B-roll, which I'll I'll put in this video, but like, oh, wow, it is kind of heavy. Okay, I never picked one up. This is a lot heavier than I was anticipating, but it still feels so good. It's such a good form factor. It's so thin and so large that I'm just so not used to this. I use a 14-inch MacBook Pro on the regular basis, along with this 13-inch MacBook Air. And here is the kind of color-matched cable with a kind of color-matched Starlight end here. Again, I think a lot of people have said that they wish this this little tip here would be color-matched as well, but it's not. And then you do have the option of going from a 35-watt dual USB-C, which is what we have here, to a 70-watt charger, and that's just one single USB-C cable, or one port. But I kind of like the versatility of two. I don't really need it to fast charge. If you did want a fast charge, you're gonna want that 70-watt, but that's really the only other difference. And then inside the booklet here, we have some information. So this is the MacBook Air, and there's some product stuff and Starlight stickers. Let's just get to the good stuff. There were midnight stickers in the midnight 13-inch. Now you have Starlight stickers, which is pretty cool. It's like a goldish silver. I don't really know what Starlight is, but it looks nice, and I can't wait to actually check it out on the laptop, which we're going to do right now. All right, this one's for everyone, for you ASMR fans. I hope that was satisfying. That's my apologies for ripping it in the wrong way. This is nice. This is really nice. Like, the color is awesome. It's like just a hint of silverish gold. It's really, really nice. It's not gonna leave terrible fingerprints, even though I still think this is the greatest of all time, the GOAT color, midnight, in terms of the MacBook Air choices. It just gets gross. But Here's a good size test for those who are wondering just how much larger a 13-inch is compared to 15. There is quite a bit of, I don't know if you can see that in this camera B over here, but there's quite a bit of extra room. It is, let me get the full specs up. It is a 15.3-inch diagonal, 2880 by 1864 versus the 13-inch, which is a 2560 by 1664. Both liquid retina displays. So this one's liquid retina, and of course the new 15-inch MacBook is also a liquid retina display, and it's also, they're both 500 nits of brightness, which, you know, isn't as good. Let's just be honest, it isn't as good as the MacBook Pros, but it's a different display. It still looks really, really good. Honestly, if you're not comparing them directly one to each other, it still looks really, really good. So have never had any issues. We'll go over some other key differences in terms of the weight. Obviously, we saw the size. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's larger. You know, you got to accommodate for that extra inch and a half or so. But what you are getting with this in terms of weight, and I did say it was heavy, it's not. It's like a half pound heavier-ish, 0.6. It's 2.7 pounds for the 13-inch, and it's 3.3 pounds for this one. So I mean, you do notice it. It's pretty noticeable. But that's really it in terms of the size and the weight and the feel. Here's another ASMR thing for you. Let's open it up and you'll hear the magical sound. There it is. The best sound in the world. Yeah, I mean, this is just super nice. Let's put it over to camera B so you guys can see it. I am a huge fan of the MacBook Air redesign. It looks amazing. I know this sounds weird, but the notch really doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like it, and I love the what it does for the screen. It allows for such small bezels, and it just looks so good. I will point out that if you notice here, there's so much room that Apple could technically put a speaker grill here, like they do for the 14-inch MacBook Pro, but they don't. The speakers are still like the MacBook Air, the 13-inch MacBook Air. They're still kind of like over here and underneath the keyboard. And this is one of the major differences, aside from obviously the screen size, is that this MacBook Air, the 15-inch model, does come with a 6-speaker setup with force-canceling woofers versus the 4-speaker system. So there are 2 extra speakers, if my math is correct, compared to the original 13-inch MacBook Air. And so that is going to be something that I'm going to need to test out, but I imagine it's going to sound a little bit better, which is always nice. There is technically a bigger battery inside, but the larger display and the more processing power, well, not the more processing power, but the larger GPU, and it's gonna need some more battery. So honestly, Apple says it's still 18 hours of battery, and that's exactly what the 13-inch gets, which is, by the way, the battery champ. It is amazing. So this is going to be amazing in battery, but it's just not gonna be any better than the 13-inch. It's gonna offset because of the extra performance and the extra, well, it's just really the extra screen. Also, I did mention this earlier, but all models for the 15-inch come with that 8-core CPU and 10-core GPU. The base model starts with 256 gigs of SSD storage and 8 gigs of RAM. This model has 24 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD storage. The base model 13-inch has an 8-core CPU and an 8-core GPU. You can get a 10-core GPU on the 13-inch model, so you can basically configure it to be the exact same. You just got to pay a little bit more. And what happens is,
use English as the main language. Press the return key.
What happens is, so it starts off at $1099 right now if you want to buy a 13-inch model, the base model. That's 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU. If you want to get the $1299 version of the 15-inch MacBook, which is an 8-core GPU and an 8-core CPU and a 10-core GPU, that's going to be, again, $1299. So there is about a $200 difference. But if you want to get the 13-inch to even specs, so basically getting you to that 10-core GPU, it's going to be $1199. So, you know, spend the extra $100 and get that big screen and the better speakers, unless of course you don't want the bigger form factor and the larger screen, in which case save the $100 and get the 13-inch MacBook Air. And so yeah, I want to know from you in the comments down below. This has been a quick unboxing, first impressions, kind of a second impressions, but really my first time holding it. I didn't pick it up at the event, but I will do a full review in the next couple of months once I really do use it all the time. But again, spoiler, I'm expecting it to be just like it was with the 13-inch, in which you can watch that video now if you really want to, and basically get the same idea. It's just larger, better speakers, and that's really it. And I love that laptop, and I can tell you right now I'm gonna love this one, but I wanna hear from you in those comments down below. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.